This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV. It's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the podcast. From Rochester, New York, I've got Ben Alpert, and he is the host at Real Business Connections. It's a podcast, and it's the top 2% worldwide. And he's going to talk to us all about thought leadership and his podcast. And I'm really happy to have him on. I love talking with experienced podcasters and adding value to the audience and having a great conversation. Ben, welcome.
Let's do it. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So talk about your journey and what led you up to be doing podcasting full time.
Yeah, it's a long story. I'll give people the short version, but I didn't imagine I'd be an entrepreneur. I didn't imagine I'd be a podcaster. I was honestly I was the shortest kid in my class, and I was the quietest boy in the class. If I had a superpower, it was probably invisibility or hiding in different areas and this and that. So I wasn't the life of the party, and I didn't have some Joe Rogan or Jeff Bezos or Brené Brown on my wall. I wanted to be a basketball player, and being a short kid, I got bullied a lot on the court, didn't always play as well, got cut from the team. And then I went the creative rebel approach and got into music. And that's where it all really began, because a friend of mine gave me a mixtape. I got hooked on music. Before you know it, I'm setting up MySpace pages, dating myself there, then Facebook pages, handing out flyers, merch at the event. And I was a marketer and a promoter before I actually knew what that was. And I started listening to podcasts at about 2015. And one of the things they said, age-old advice, not always the best advice, but not bad advice for a young adult. It said, if you never want to work a day, do something you love. And I was the music kid in Rochester, New York, who listened to podcasts well before they were viral and popular and all over YouTube. So I said, let's start a music podcast, really because I wanted to get into places for free. So 2016, started a music podcast. Now it's 2025, so I have to pinch myself, but ran that podcast up till the start of the pandemic. Music Ben got let go from his sales executive role doing a marketing for an agency. I got let go from my job. The music industry shut down. So Music Ben was broke, unemployed, and non-essential. So I pivoted from a music podcast to a Rochester business podcast, Rochester Business Connections. Accidentally started a marketing firm, wasn't planning on that prior to COVID. And what was Rochester Business Connections is now called Real Business Connections. It's a podcast, as you mentioned, and people listen to it internationally. So again, I got to pinch myself because I stumbled through this, but I'm really passionate. I love that this is something I get to do on a daily basis and spend time on amazing podcasts like yours as well.
Yeah. Like I said, I love talking with established. And we'll talk about starting a marketing business and going from zero to hero. So one thing, what's interesting is this area of podcasting. You got in very early. I got in 2018, and people were saying, pay attention to podcasting. And you talk about a paradigm shift that will change the way you look at podcasts forever, because you've been in this. So what is that shift?
Yeah, it's the greatest connection tool on earth. I've never found a better connection tool. Now, there isn't, and I'll listen to this argument all day, IRL, in real life, meeting someone for coffee, spending time together is irreplaceable. But busy, smart, in-demand people don't always have time to meet you randomly for a coffee so you can pick their brain. And just the knowledge, if you get your brain picked, do you get the brain cells back? I'm not sure that they can replenish those brain cells. And most people's time is worth more than just a cup of coffee. So when I was broke and unemployed and starting a business, and really honestly, like, I knew marketing. I wasn't an expert yet. Like, I knew marketing, but I was still learning, and I didn't know business ownership. And I realized quickly that by starting a podcast and talking to business owners, the same people that didn't want their brain picked would easily spend 60 minutes to 90 minutes with me. They would nominate other people for the show. So they were making introductions. And the person who has a podcast, which is a platform that people want to be a part of, it was a Rochester, New York podcast, person with a platform but zero experience was immediately positioned as a thought leader, even though I hardly had any thoughts. I didn't know what I was doing because I had a podcast. And the business owners that I didn't use it just as a sales tool. I used it as a learning tool. I wanted to connect. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to expand my network. I didn't realize that it was such a great sales tool as well, though, because I had a marketing firm. I was talking to business owners, and business owners need marketing. So as I learned and built relationship and friendship and got nominations, which people call it referrals, I see it as a nomination for the show. Business was coming out of the word work. And I'm like, this running a business thing's actually not as hard as I thought it was. But the podcast is what made it all possible. It was the glue that brought everyone together.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you got in early, and especially when the world started to pay attention to streaming, especially video during the lockdowns. That's when a lot of digital businesses, if you were well positioned, did very well. What did you learn? Because what's interesting is the music radio business, and then you went to the business podcast. What did you learn the transition from like a music show into a business podcast? And where do you see that going now that with video podcasting?
Video podcasting is everything now. Like, that's the future. I foresee, and I don't think it's actually very far away, because they have Opus headsets. Oh, the Oculus headset. I had one of those in like 2017, 2018. AI headsets, virtual reality. So where do I see video going? I think that if you have a high enough budget, people are going to be creating 3D shows where I can put on a headset and be in the room with them during the podcast. And the technology is probably even there that you can do that live. So instead of just going on like a Twitch stream or watching someone on their YouTube stream or LinkedIn, you can literally like put on a headset and be there live for the podcast. That's where I see that going. I forget where the question started, but the beauty of it is podcasting to me is just the most genuine form of information dissemination, conversation. It can be entertainment. It can be crime and give you the creeps a little bit. And as the technology expands and as AI expands, as video is literally like, if you don't have, people don't even know that a podcast used to just be audio nowadays. It's like video is the expectation. As that expands, the medium of just talking, and people are stressed, they're lonely, They're at the gym and they've listened to that same pump up track 1,000 times. They like to put on a podcast on their run or doing the dishes. There's an intimacy to it. So as I don't even think I answered the question you asked, but as the technology expands and as video gets bigger, the purity of conversation will never go away. And that's why I think podcasting is just a fantastic thing, whether you're trying to do it professionally or just as a hobbyist. I think it's a fantastic thing for all of us to do.
Interesting. And do you think going, just because I know a lot of creatives and artists like DJs and musicians, it's just a different audience and it's just a different content when you're going from having a music show to a business podcast. Is that fair?
The biggest thing I learned, I don't know if it's the biggest thing I learned, but I definitely learned it. I never made any money on the music show, passion project. The creative industry is really difficult. And I'm still like the guy that likes camping, going to outdoor music festivals and supporting bands and live music. But that's like the passion. And then what actually helps me make money is marketing online for business professionals. So it was really frustrating because you can have lightning in a bottle, but only 1% of creatives actually make a career out of it. So it's a really difficult industry to be in.
Yeah. Yeah. But talk about this. One thing what are you seeing in terms of, for example, if you look at like Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman or Diary of the CEO, like all their podcasts are like in person, like they have a studio.
Yeah.
Is that necessary, or is like a video or a StreamYard live stream, is that acceptable?
Of course it's acceptable. Jordan Harbinger, who's one of the greatest of all time, he's been podcasting since it came out forever, literally forever. Most of his episodes don't have video. I think he started integrating video, but he's 98% audio based. His viewership on video is very low. He's just an example of a very big podcaster that gets in the hundreds of thousands of downloads a month, primarily audio. So I don't think audio only is going anywhere. The in-person stuff, though, I've found this. I put out a lot of content. Some of it's good. Some of it's not that good. The in-person makes for better short form. It really does. It just makes for better imagery. It makes better short form, better if you take a 5-minute segment of the podcast. It's just better to view. So it is better, yes. But not all of us have the budget. Not all of us have guests that are willing to come into our studio. The barrier to entry there with a low budget is very steep. So I would never discourage someone to even do audio only. I think it's better if you're on Zoom, you're on StreamYard, you're on Riverside. Even if you don't edit it, post the video, because facial recognition, they'll see your face, they'll see you smiling, they'll get to know you. It's better they see the video than not. There's no argument against posting the video unless you're just so ugly that you don't want anyone to see ever. But all of them work. In person, beautiful studio is the best. But I'm in a studio, but I do everything virtually and I do fine for myself. So I don't think anything's necessary. The only thing that's necessary is audio, because if you don't have audio, you don't have a podcast.
Yeah.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And it's like different audiences. Like some people just love to hear your voice, or like when they're driving or running or errands, and some people want to sit down and watch it like TV. And so it depends. The other question I have is like Lex Friedman, his podcasts are like 3 hours. I think Joe Rogan was 3 or 4 hours. Is a 4-hour podcast versus like 20 minutes like us, or even with decreasing attention, is it like 5 minutes, 10 minutes podcasts? What is the best length in your experience?
So I'll give you the personal answer and the strategic answer. And both of them are, it depends. Strategically, it's how long can you capture the attention of your listener? And most of us can't do it for 4 hours. Joe Rogan can't do it for 4 hours as far as I'm concerned. I don't listen to his show because they're too long. Once in a while, I'll put on an episode and it's like my entire 5-hour drive to him. It's crazy. But the first question, and they cut it up into shorts, though, and shorter segments as well. So there might be a 4-hour podcast, but there might be 10-minute clips as well. That's a big part of it. How long strategically can you keep your audience engaged is the biggest. That's the answer. If I'm doing a solo episode, it's probably going to be shorter unless I'm very good at storytelling and engaging my listener, because listening to one person talk for 90 minutes straight is difficult. So how long can I keep my audience engaged? That's very dependent on the style of podcast, your capacity as a host, whether there's a guest or not, whether it's solo, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, the personal answer is, how long am I engaged? Because this is contrarian advice, but I love my listener, but I care more about myself. If I hate my own podcast, I'm not going to do it. I can't help anybody. If I'm like, Joe Rogan is 4 hours, so I have to do 4 hours, but I'm zoning out and going all over the place 20 minutes in, that doesn't mean a 4-hour podcast is bad. It just means my attention span, let's do a 20-minute podcast. If I want something quick, actionable, implementable today, I want it to be shorter and concise because I want full consumption and I want them to take action. If I want something that's more story behind the story, more nuance, I could do this. I don't know if you can tell. Like, I, in theory, could talk all day. You might have a longer form, more nuanced Diary of a CEO. I swear every episode he gets them to cry. And part of the podcast is, we're not going to end until you cry. But he's looking for those raw emotional moments that are hard to capture in 10 minutes. So it really depends.
Yeah. And then it's like I said, it's your audience, and it's really interesting because with these 4-hour podcast, I skip over to the sections that I want to be interested, or if it's like a guest, I may listen, but just some of this just doesn't relate to you, or it's not relevant. Then, so talking about you, because you were in the music industry, and then you were a marketer and also a promoter, so you learned a lot. How do you, for those that are interested in marketing their podcast, they're clueless or terrified of selling, what is your advice or encouragement to start marketing your business?
So we could take this in a lot of directions. I want to give a really simple framework that'll apply to someone who's not even a podcaster, just anyone who's trying to put out any kind of content and connect. I like to, and you can take a sheet of paper if you'd like. This is a brainstorm, but most of us can figure this out in our head pretty quickly. Just draw 2 lines on a sheet of paper because you have 3 columns. One is plus, one is minus, one is equals. Plus is your mentors. They're the people you're learning from. They're the coaches you hire. They're the providers, the vendors that you hire. Minus is your mentees and your audience, the people that you're serving and supporting, the people you're helping. Equals is your peers. That's the peer-to-peer support. That's referral partners. That's strategic partners. That's just 2 marketers, 2 podcasters hanging out and learning from each other. Whether or not anyone's spending money on each other doesn't matter, because you're building bond and strength through those peers. So if you understand who your mentors are, who you're going to learn from, especially in podcasting, those are the people you bring on, provides a lot of social proof for your brand that if you get a big name guest on, it makes your brand and your podcast look that much better. But it's those people you're learning from in business where you're getting your ideas. The minus, again, are the people that are listening. They're the people that you're creating products for, you're creating content for. They're the mentees. So you got to think and understand who they are so you can put out content and solutions and services that they want. So we need to have clarity on who they are. And then your peers are what is just going to make it that much fun. They're the ones that are going to give you referrals. You're going to start, maybe you collab on a podcast, you collab on an event, you find ways to work together peer to peer. And that's generalized advice. But I find 9 out of 10 business professionals can make it up on the spot, but don't really know who their mentors are, who their mentees are, and who their peers are. And if you understand those people, those are your guests, those are your coaches, those are your clients. It's all in those 3 categories. And I like to put down literal names, but if you don't have literal names, just put down descriptions of the kind of person, and you'll get clarity as to who you serve and what your purpose in anything you do will be if you have clarity on that. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. It's all of it's all about everything I've learned just talking from people is it's relationship. Business is relationships, and You have, for a lot of people that are shy or introverted or they get tongue-tied when networking, you have a CAN system to boost connection. Describe that.
Yeah, that's like a 3-part series in itself. But simply put, I call it creation-driven networking, where if you're not a big networker, maybe you're introverted, you're not the life of the party, but you're creative, you like to tangibly do things, you find ways to create and network. Content and networking, collaborate and network. I could keep it community and networking. CAN. So what does that look? Again, we could do 5-part on just this. A podcast is the CAN system. We're creating and networking. Co-hosting an event, create and network. Let's say, random example, you're a financial advisor, but you like to do photography, and your son is on the Little League team. You go and you start taking pictures of your son. And then people are like, can you take pictures of my kid? You're a really good photographer. He's like, yeah, it's just a side project of mine, but sure. Then you start taking pictures of all the kids at the Little League game, and you're a financial advisor. You've built a massive amount of trust and networked in your community that if someone needs financial services, they know to come to you. You're the photographer, but you're creating while you network. So if you feel tongue-tied, if you feel introverted, find a way to build something. And if you understand who your plus, minus, and equals are, find a way to build things with them. It's really that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I've always, every opportunity, I just start conversations with people, just get to know people, and so you have similarities, you have interests. All of a sudden, you're connected on LinkedIn. And so to round it out,
can I add one thing real quick that I think I missed?
Yeah.
Just the question tongue-tied, part of the thing is I don't know what to say. You want to have clarity first. Because if I show up at an event, I say, hey, I have a podcast, I'm looking for guests, and then you find guests. Hey, I have an event, if you have clarity first, it's easier to extend your hand and invite people. But if you don't have clarity on what you're going to create first, that's where it gets difficult. So I want to just hammer that down, that decide in the dark when no one's watching, what's my plan here? And then find people that co-align with that vision.
Yeah, fantastic. And finally, to round it out, leave the audience inspired and tell them how to go from zero to hero in under a year, even if you're broke, unemployed, and feel completely hopeless.
That's a long story, man. I luckily got from zero to hero. To give the short version, Music Ben, who was broke, unemployed in the middle of the pandemic, had skills, and I didn't quite realize it at the time, but if you stack skills, wherever you go, there you are. So you stack skills over time, and then when that hero moment occurs, when that leadership moment occurs, you've been preparing for it in the dark. When you're in the light, it's easy peasy. That's the short version. But start working on yourself today, because tomorrow you might be called, you might be challenged. And are you going to be ready? I think most of us will be, because we're listening to this podcast. Financial freedom doesn't come overnight, it comes through the compound interest over time.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how engaging you are and just present and serving the incredible audience. And thanks so much, and keep up the great work.
Hey, anytime. This was fun.